Hey, Finn again. Last time you saw me, I was standing in the middle of a hallway, getting accused of stealing Eve's art. And the worst part? She didn't say a word to defend me. So, yeah, I wasn't exactly in a good mood. I stormed home, fully expecting Mr. and Mrs. Lauren to doubt me too. But instead, "We believe in you, Finn." Without a doubt, I froze. For the first time, I realized they trusted me completely. But across the room, Eve stood silent for a moment before quietly saying, "That's easy for you to say. I stayed up so many nights working on that piece." She turned and left the room, crying. Christine hurried after her. I just stood there, not knowing what to say. But later that night, I finally decided to try. I hesitated for a second, then knocked on Eve's door, trying not to make things worse. "Hey, I'll help you redo your piece." Eve didn't even look up. "I don't need your help." "You take everything." She looked at me, her eyes glassy, like she was holding back tears. "My parents, my place in this house, and now Dylan, too." I froze. "Wait, this is about Dylan?" "Of course you wouldn't get it. I never wanted Dylan like that." But then, a weird pang hit my chest. Why did I suddenly feel guilty? Eve's words from last night still haunted me, but I didn't have time to think about it anymore, because the next morning, the whole school was talking about me. Finn sabotaged Eve's painting. She was scared she'd lose. They suspended her from the competition. I stopped in my tracks. Suspended? Are you kidding me? Fury burned through me as I stormed toward the principal's office, ready to demand an explanation. But just as I reached the door, I heard a familiar voice inside. "Dylan? What is he doing in here?" Through the small window, I saw him standing in front of the principal's desk, arms crossed, voice firm. "She didn't do it. You're making a mistake. The committee will investigate. If you have solid evidence, present it. Otherwise, step aside and let me do my job." "So, that's it? You're just going to let them blame her without proof?" "Enough, son. This is out of your hands." Son? The principal's tired expression, Dylan's defiance? It all made sense now. Dylan was the principal's son. A second later, Dylan walked out, frustration all over his face. I hurried after him. Hey, thanks for standing up for me. You put too much into this to just let them take it away." Then his eyes lit up. "What if you submit your piece under my name?" I stopped. My frustration flipped into pure excitement. "That is a genius plan!" But when the excitement hadn't faded yet, Eve appeared. She stood there, her eyes flicked between us, filled with resentment. "Why is everyone going out of their way to help Finn? My painting was stolen and no one cared!" Then, without letting either of us say a word, she turned sharply and stormed off. But as she walked away, her foot landed on a paintbrush covered in red paint. "Stupid paintbrush! Ruined my shoes! Ugh, I hate green!" Wait, but that paint is red. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Eve's anger, the missing painting, the way everyone turned against me so fast, none of it added up. And with the competition deadline closing in, there was only one way to get answers. I had to find that painting. So, after school, I stayed behind, determined to search every corner of the building. I had just reached Eve's classroom when I spotted someone suspicious. Someone in a hoodie, face hidden, slipped into the classroom like they didn't want to be seen. Who sneaks into a classroom after hours? Peeking through the door, I watched as the person pulled a painting from their bag and carefully placed it on Eve's desk. Then, just as quickly as they had arrived, they slipped away. I should have run in and checked the painting, but something told me to follow them instead. My heart pounded. Who was this? Then, just as I was about to lose them, they turned a corner and led me straight to my own house. I barely had time to process that when someone else approached them. "Christine!" "Is it done?" The figure nodded. Christine pulled out a wad of cash and handed it over. "Good. Now leave." I stared in shock. Christine was behind this? Before I could react, the masked figure hesitated. "I still don't get it. Why go through all this trouble?" "Because I am Eve's mother. I know what's best for her." My mind went blank. Eve's mother? Suddenly, everything made sense. Christine's favoritism, her constant need to compare me and Eve. Then, more memories clicked. Both Christine and Eve mistook red for green. Could it be genetic? My mind was racing. Christine was Eve's mother. Did Mr. and Mrs. Laurent know about this? I rushed home, barely stopping to catch my breath. Mr. and Mrs. Laurent were sitting in the living room, calm as ever, until they saw my face. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I saw someone sneaking into Eve's classroom. They put our painting back. It was stolen. Christine ordered it. Before I could explain more, Eve appeared at the top of the stairs. Oh, so you returned it because you were afraid of getting caught, huh? And now you're blaming poor Christine? You don't have to believe me, but it's the truth. Christine is the real culprit. Christine? What are you talking about? I took a deep breath. She's your mother. What? Even Mr. and Mrs. Laurent looked completely surprised. Mr. Laurent's face tensed like he was searching for words, while Mrs. Laurent just stared between me and Eve, completely stunned. Then, finally, Mr. Laurent cleared his throat, his voice unusually careful. Eve, you were adopted. You're lying. We took you in when you were a baby, but we never knew Christine was your biological mother. I glanced at Eve, expecting her to react. Anger, denial, something, but her expression only darkened, shoulders tensing under the weight of the truth. We'll look into this, but for now, just act normal and focus on the competition. Act normal? You lied to me my whole life. Then, without another word, she turned and ran upstairs. The next morning, I woke up to panic. Voices shouting, doors slamming, hurried footsteps. Then, I heard it. Eve was missing. The entire house was in chaos. Mr. and Mrs. Laurent spoke urgently on the phone, while staff rushed around the mansion, checking every corner. Christine was pacing back and forth, mumbling to herself, while I stood in the middle of it all, trying to process what was happening. Where would Eve go? I needed to think. I ignored the frantic energy in the house. I headed to Eve's room, hoping to find some kind of clue. I opened drawers, flipped through notebooks, nothing. But as I reached for another notebook, a sudden voice shattered the silence. What are you doing here? In my daughter's room? Give her back to me! Christine grabbed my arm. She was crying uncontrollably, gripping me like I had personally taken Eve away from her. It's all my fault! My daughter, where are you? Come back to me! Christine, let her go. Blaming Finn won't bring Eve back. She just needs time alone. We've already reported this to the police. Now, we have to wait. You don't understand. You're not her real parents. Wait, what did she just say? My patience ran out, and before I knew it, I snapped. They're not her birth parents, but they know her better than you ever did. And you've been living under their roof all these years, lying to their faces, and you don't even feel ashamed? Christine was stunned, but I wasn't done. You say you love Eve, but all you've done is lie to her. That's not love. It's selfish. You don't get to call herself her mother just because you showed up. Christine collapsed onto the floor, and then, through her broken cries, she admitted everything. She had been abandoned by her lover while she was pregnant. Desperate and alone, she left her baby at an orphanage, unable to care for her. Years later, she found out Eve had been adopted by the Laurents, so she applied as a housekeeper just to stay close to her daughter, to secretly watch over her. But she never had the courage to tell the truth. She was terrified Eve would hate her. She also didn't want to disrupt the good life Eve had with her adoptive parents. And then I came along. Christine had been so afraid that Mr. and Mrs. Laurent would grow attached to me, that I would replace Eve. So she made things hard for me and ruined my reputation, hoping the Laurents would start hating me and send me away. The room fell into heavy silence. Mr. and Mrs. Laurent were speechless. Finally, Mr. Laurent sighed. We'll deal with this later. Right now, the most important thing is finding Eve. Christine buried her face in her hands, sobbing. And for once, I didn't have a snarky response, because I actually felt bad for her. I didn't know what else to do, so I ran. There was only one person who could help me figure this out. I reached Dylan's house and banged on his window. Finn? It's like 6 a.m. I didn't wait for an invitation. I climbed inside. Get up, posh boy. I need your nerd skills. Eve is missing. Dylan's sleepiness disappeared in an instant. He grabbed his laptop and started typing furiously. If she didn't tell anyone where she went, maybe she left a clue online. Eve? Posting, "Hey guys, I'm running away" on social media? Not happening. Obviously not. But lucky for you, I have access to the school system. Wait, how? I'm the principal's son, remember? My dad keeps his login saved on our home laptop. One quick access, and boom, school system unlocked. Pretty sure that's not legal. Only if I get caught. A few seconds later, his smirk faded. Got something. Eve logged into her school account last night from home, and the last thing she searched was St. Mary's Orphanage. We both stared at the screen, the search history sitting there like a breadcrumb trail. Of course, she didn't just run away. She went home. I skated as fast as I could, my heart pounding, the streets eerily quiet in the early morning light. And there she was, Eve, sitting on the orphanage steps, arms around her knees, staring into nothing like she'd been there all night. You picked a weird place for a meltdown, princess. I sighed and dropped down beside her, pulling my hoodie tighter around myself. After a long silence, Eve finally spoke. I should have figured it out sooner. Figured out what? That I never really belonged. Christine knew me better than my own parents did. I spent my whole life trying to be their perfect daughter, but in the end, I was just another orphan they picked up. Yeah, that's a crap feeling. What? You think I haven't been there? Feeling like a mistake? Like no matter what you do, someone's gonna send you back? But you know what? That's our decision, not theirs. You can sit here forever feeling sorry for yourself, or you can get up, go back, and make them prove they love you. And if they don't, then you and me, we leave. Find a place where nobody can throw us away. Eve finally looked at me, really looked at me. Then, slowly, she smiled. You're such a pain, Finn. You love me. Maybe. That was enough for me. I pulled out my phone and called Mr. Laurent. A short while later, the Laurents pulled up in a car, rushing out to Eve. Relief was written all over their faces. I stood off to the side, watching. Then, suddenly, Mrs. Laurent grabbed me into the hug too. What? Oh, okay, this is happening. Christine was nowhere in sight. I glanced at Eve. So, you staying? Yeah. Good, because I wasn't about to let you leave me with Dylan. Eve came home, submitted her entry, and little by little, started acting like herself again. But Christine is different. One morning, she left without a word. No note, no goodbye, just gone. You okay? About what? Christine. It's weird. I thought I'd feel angry, but mostly, I just feel relieved. Maybe she needed time to figure things out. If that's what she needs, then she can have it. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. We just sat there, watching as the sky deepened from orange to blue. Then, out of nowhere, you like him, don't you? I blinked, caught off guard. Dylan? I don't know. You're an idiot. You too. I don't think I ever really wanted Dylan. I think I just wanted to feel like I mattered. A lump formed in my throat. For the first time, Eve felt like family, not competition. She gave me a small smile, and I knew she saw me the same way. After that afternoon, I found myself wandering, my thoughts still tangled, which is how I ended up here, walking through an empty hallway with Dylan. Neither of us said much. The school felt weird when it was this quiet, just the soft buzz of the vending machine and our footsteps filling the empty halls. Then I blurted, "Do you ever think about it?" Dylan shot me a glance. Think about what? If we'd be a thing. Dylan paused mid-step. I just grinned, keeping my tone easy. Not saying I want it or anything, just wondering. You're impossible, Finn. We kept walking, neither of us saying anything more. But then, just as I thought the conversation was over, you really don't know, huh? I glanced at him, but he was already looking ahead, hands in his pockets, like he hadn't said anything. You're impossible, Dylan. Yeah, guess we both are. We didn't say anything after that, but at least I knew I wasn't the only one thinking about it.